Korea Mapenduka, and welcome to Africa Good Morning, the show that keeps you up to date with the latest news in Africa and beyond. I'm your host, Glenna Rashipura. Getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast, Malawi's Vice President Saulos Chilima was among 10 people killed in a plane crash and marched to end poverty with big in Namibia. The ANC continued talks with all political parties in an attempt to form a government of national unity before Friday. Of course, Ari Hohat will be bringing us the latest news in South Africa. We'll be right back with the top stories.
The Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, in collaboration with the Namibia Tourism Board and the Ondonga Traditional Authority, will be hosting the Itotha Carnival at the Kangonde Sotpan in the Oshikoto region from 27 June to 1st July 2024. Expect a fun-filled weekend including traditional dishes, cookout competitions, totem parades, traditional games, horse riding, skydiving and quad biking. Accommodation facilities will be available at cost. The Itotha Carnival, celebrating our ancient heritage.
Getting to your top stories, Malawi's Vice President Saulos Chilima was among 10 people killed when a small military plane crashed in a mountainous region in the north of the country, the president said on Tuesday. President Lazarus Chakwera announced in a live address on state television that the wreckage of the plane had been located after a search of more than a day in thick forest and hilly terrain near the northern city of Mzuzu. Chakwera said there was no survivors of the crash. Former First Lady Shanil Zimbiri was also on the plane. There were 7 passengers and 3 military crew members on board. The group was traveling to Mzuzu to attend the funeral of a former government minister. Chilima was 51. He was serving his second term as vice president. President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera said the Malawi Defense Force is in the process of bringing the remains of the deceased to the capital, Lilongwe, and that he will announce arrangements in due course. Moving on to our next story. On Saturday, the 15th of June, the Basic Income Grant Coalition will host a march to highlight a universal and unconditional basic income grant, BIC, as a possible solution to Namibia's high poverty, unemployment and inequality rates. The coalition has proposed a BIC of $500 million per person per month. According to a media statement by the coalition, the march begins at Katutura Youth Complex at 8 a.m. and continues to the Soup Park via Independence Avenue, where the organization will hand over petitions from across Namibia to the Honorable Minister of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare, Doreen Sioka, to make a direct plea with the government for the implementation of a BIC. Now, according to the BIC coalition, Namibia endures continuing social injustice, endangering people's lives. Furthermore, Namibia is the world's second most unequal country, with a poverty rate of 1.5 million Namibians facing starvation, according to the World Bank and FAO. Malnutrition is the #1 killer of children 5 years and below. Furthermore, the coalition says that youth unemployment rate in SADC is at 75%, and 75% of Namibians earn $1,500 Namibian or less per month. And to add to that, Namibians experience a short lifespan/low life expectancy, and the country lacks decent housing, with the expectation that 2 million people will be living in shacks within the next 7 years. Other pertinent issues are a lack of quality education, high failure rate, a lack of decent healthcare, and according to the United Nations Development Programme, Namibia continues to be among the countries in the world with the lowest living standard. Getting to our next story, African elephants respond to individual names, one of the few wild animal species known to do so, according to new research published in Nature Ecology and Evolution on Monday. These unique names are in the form of complex row rumbles that can be heard over long distances across the savanna. Biologists from Colorado State University Warner College of Natural Resources used machine learning to detect them in recordings made in Kenya's Samburu National Reserve and Amboseli National Park. They then tested their results by playing the sounds back to individual elephants who responded more energetically, flapping their ears and lifting their trunks to those that contained their name. Professor and co-author George Vettermeyer said they had to get close to the animals to record the sounds in all their complexity. Christophe Deloire, who negotiated to free imprisoned journalists around the world and offered refuge to reporters under threat as the head of media freedom group Reporters Without Borders, died over the weekend. He was 53. Deloire had been battling sudden and aggressive cancer and died in Paris, surrounded by loved ones, according to board members of Reporters Without Borders, also known by its French acronym RSF. Deloire was a tireless defender on every continent of the freedom, independence, and pluralism of journalism in a context of information chaos, RSF said in a statement. Journalism was his life struggle, which he fought with unshakable conviction, it added. With boundless energy and a ready smile even when dishing out trenchant criticism, Deloire traveled constantly to Ukraine, Turkey, Africa, and beyond to lobby governments and defend journalists behind bars or under threat. Press freedom activists from many countries shared tributes to his work and mourned his passing. Deloire helped Russian broadcast journalist Marina Ovsyannikova flee Russia in a secret operation in 2022 after she came under fire for denouncing the war in Ukraine on live television. RSF also launched a program to provide protective equipment and training to Ukrainian journalists after Russia's invasion. May he rest in peace. Now, on the other side of the break, we'll be taking a look at the state of affairs in South Africa with Ari Hohat.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Now, there's a lot of buzz in South Africa following the recent elections. Here to give us an update is Ari Hohat. Good morning.
Yes, very good morning, Glenora. It is, yes, it's lots happening on the front at the parliament, and everybody's kind of holding their breath and see that is there going to be a first meeting for the National Assembly on Friday. So that's a bit under pressure, and so South Africa do feel a bit of pressure here all of a sudden.
Yeah, I do understand that the ANC is continuing with talks with the political parties in an attempt to form a coalition before Friday. So how's that going?
It seems like there's progress being made. The ANC did discuss that with all the parties. So it was open with, let's say, with a system where there's involvement from all the parties, possibility of all the parties. So I think it's well documented that the MK party, the Kontuisizwe party, and also the EFF said that they will not be part of, let's say, a government of national unity. That's the EFF, that is Malema there on the left, Floyd Shivambu, and they said they will not join racists in the discussions, and that's referring to the DA. They refer to racists, and they will not form a coalition with them. So that is, at the moment, the ANC did make a statement and said they found the EFF negative and arrogant in their discussions. But obviously what will happen in this, Gunora, is that obviously every party that comes to a national unity do have a bit of bargaining rights according to their votes as well. So what every party did do was to say, but how is my manifesto being taken into this new government? So, for instance, how much can I put forward political issues that I feel, or government issues and legal law issues that I feel very serious about. So I think that is where there was a challenge, and also who's taking up what positions. So, for instance, the EFF did indicate straight away that they said they want to be the Minister of Finance. They want that position for Floyd Shivamba, and they also want the Speaker of the Parliament to be from the EFF. So those are big statements, and I suppose that in those meetings that they didn't really meet each other. So at the moment, what seems to be happening is that there's a strong possibility that the ANC and the Democratic Alliance, which got the second most votes nationally, and the IFP will be the core of a new national, let's say, a government. And it reminds of 1994, when South Africa just moved, thankfully, away from apartheid. There was a three-party alliance in the 1994 election. If people can remember, it was the ANC and the then New National Party under Mr. de Klerk, and then also the IFP. So we're back to that again. But obviously, there's no majority party, so now they really need to talk to each other and find solutions.
Now, on that note, I wonder if there were any talks with the MK party, considering there's some rumbles or some chaos happening in KwaZulu-Natal. Correct me if I'm wrong, since it has a strong foothold there.
Yes, indeed, you're 100% correct. And the rumbles there were also to try and find a coalition. The MK party did very well in KwaZulu-Natal. That's their stronghold. They got 45%, but that's short of the 51% they need, or the 50 plus 1 they need for a majority. So they're also finding it difficult to find partners to form coalitions in KwaZulu-Natal. And it seems like it's possible there that the ANC, DA, IFP, and NFP coalition might be the way to go with the way it's going in KwaZulu-Natal to get a majority. So the only way for the MK party there to be in the majority is to form an alliance with the EFF. That would be also very interesting to see how they get around the table to decide who's priority in that one. So I think big news as well is just from late yesterday is that the MK party did launch an official court application to the Constitutional Court for Friday's assembly not to take place, and they're filing papers and say that there was the election was not free and fair. They want the election not to be decided or to be called not free and fair. They claim they have evidence, but they haven't put any evidence or talked about any evidence, and they say that there's the counting of the votes was not correct, and they actually claim that they got a 2/3 majority nationally all over the country. So that's been challenged. So what's happening they're not sending their 58 members to the assembly on Friday. The effect is that it will still continue to go without them. So they can continue without the MK party members, the 58 members. Also on Friday, they need to elect a head of state. So the new president needs to be elected on Friday. So it's a big, important meeting, and the Constitutional Court needs to rule on that today as well. So lots happening in South Africa.
Quite interesting times for South Africans currently. Now, in your next story, Eskom continues to make good progress in generating capacity as South Africans benefit from no load shedding currently being implemented. I wonder what happened to Eskom during, the election season. It has really whipped itself into shape, wouldn't you say?
Yes, we were quite thankful, and everybody was quite skeptical because everybody thought it was just the election thing. Now we're two weeks down the line, and we still don't have that anymore. So it's a strange life. We got so used to camping lights and candles, etc., etc. But it is still volatile. It is still, experts say that the reason for it at the moment is that there was extra capacity because some of the aging power stations were fixed. That's the Minister of Electricity. So that was point one. So maintenance was done. Also, they got a bit more money in from regions, and also a big component that Eskom don't really admit, but what the experts say is a factor, as just the demand was just way down from previous needs because of impacts on the economy as well, a lower need, and there's definitely a drastic decrease in demand as well. So it's lower economic activity that, and also a surge in private rooftop solar uptake. So there's more solar uptake that was put in, obviously, for the last year or two, and that's kicking in as well. So it's also, there's a bit of a less of a need. But at the moment, everybody hopes that it can continue. It's still on a 25% less of capacity with all the maintenance being done. But maybe it can continue. So all we're holding thumbs in South Africa that can continue, but at the moment it's continuing.
I have my fingers crossed for that. Now, in the last of your stories, the Victoria and Alfred waterfront in Cape Town recently unveiled a new cafe built mostly of waste materials. This is very interesting.
Yes, it's a nice story, and it shows the way to go for the future. And it's 98% made of waste materials, and some of it is more obvious, like bricks, etc. There's old wine bottles. Hopefully, the old wine bottles are empty, so I suppose they are. And then timber and metal sheets, etc. Things that they can use. So that building looks like a new one. So it's amazing what they've done with 98% salvage materials. There's some that you, according to law, cannot have salvage materials, and that's electrical appliances and wiring, and also water pipes. So that's the waterfront. That's part of the waterfront, that cafe. So it's a cafe that is, they call it the Portswood Cafe, but the waterfront still remains one of the most important tourist sites in Cape Town and in South Africa. It's visited by 24 million people every year. So it's a very popular place. You can see the dining there with that view of the mountain. It's quite spectacular on sunset and throughout the day. So it's a popular place. So they also have many other initiatives to save energy, like taking the salt out of water, programs that they have there, and they're putting that water into the complex system, etc. So they're very creative at the waterfront. And it's a great place to visit for Namibians especially. So when they visit Cape Town, do go to the waterfront first. That will be a nice visit for everyone.
24 million visiting the waterfront. And so Cape Town is my favorite city, so yeah.
We're happy to host you here anytime, and the beaches here behind me as well. So besides what the waterfront offers, it's the beauty, the nature, etc., and some great wine regions as well. So do come and visit.
I'll definitely do so. Thank you, Ari, for bringing us the latest news from South Africa. We'll now take a look at our weather predictions before we return with economic news.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Getting rather into our economic stories, Namibia considers accreditation body. Namibia is currently assessing whether it will be necessary to establish an accreditation body that will regulate its national quality policy. This follows a consultative meeting held with the European Union recently to assess the visibility of establishing the accreditation body. Deputy Executive Director in the Industrialization Ministry, Dita Ngipondoka Robiata, said Namibia currently relies on the Southern African Development Community Accreditation Service, SADAC. One of the objectives of the national policy is to assess whether it is possible for us to have our own accreditation body, so the work that has been done is to assist us and to inform us. Ngipondoka Robiata said Namibia had legislation to guide how accreditation of various standards are done, but the piece of legislation was dormant, she noted. Right now, we use SADCAS where accreditation is done, she said. Let's take a look at our economic indicators. Now, Ari Hohad in the media industry is what we refer to as a jack of all trades. He brought us the latest news from South Africa, and here he is with the sports news.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and we start off with cricket. T20 World Cup for men continuing in the West Indies and also United States of America. Game played, it was South Africa had a tough game against Bangladesh, that was in Group D. Importantly for South Africa, they won the game by 4 runs and they stay unbeaten after 3 games in Group D. So at the moment South Africa with 6 league points after the 3 games. Bangladesh and the Netherlands have both played 2 games and they've got 2 points each, and it is Bangladesh and the Netherlands that will play on Thursday, and that game will be in Barbados. South Africa against Bangladesh, it was played again in New York on a difficult pitch. It's a drop-in pitch, so it's very uneven. South Africa scoring 113 for the loss of 6 wickets in their 20 overs. Heinrich Klaasen scoring 46 runs. And then it was Bangladesh that came close, 109 for 7 they finished. And it was the hero for South Africa's Kasef Maharaj. He took 3 wickets for 27 runs in 4 overs. But he was the hero because he defended 11 runs in the last over. He even took 2 wickets. South Africa winning by 4 runs. Continuing with cycling news, it is the Tour de Suisse that's taking place. Still early in the tour, it was stage 2 that was completed. That's from Vaduz to Regensdorf. The winner was Brian Concard. He's from France. It was a sprint finish. He won in 4 hours, 6 minutes and 39 seconds. Second, Michael Matthews from Australia, and then Anat Deli from Germany. He was in 3rd position, and that was stage 2 over 177 kilometers. General classifications, it's Yves Lampert from Germany that's leading at the moment with Ethan Hayter. He's in 2nd position. He's from England, just 4 seconds behind the leader. And Joe Almeida is also a few seconds, 4 seconds behind in 3rd position. And so the 3rd stage will be from Steinmar to Rasblikon. That will be 161 kilometers. That is the Tour de Suisse continuing. To close off today's international sports news, it is soccer news. It is FIFA World Cup qualifiers for Africa that take place. It is Burkina Faso that was held to a 2-2 draw by Sierra Leone. Not a good result for Burkina Faso. They had a chance to go top of their group. That was Group A. In Group I, it was a hat-trick by Jordan Ayew that saw the lot leaders Ghana. They beat Central African Republic in a tough game by 4-3. And then in Group G, also a game played. That was Mozambique. That was too strong for Guinea. That was a late goal by Jenny Cantamo. And the score there was 1-0. That was in favor of Mozambique. That is FIFA World Cup qualifiers taking place at the moment. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. From me, Glenn Rashipura, until next time.